6 weeks. That's all it takes for some of the flowers I'm about to show you to go from a seed in your hand to a bloom in your garden. Not months of waiting, not years of nurturing a slow perennial along. 6 weeks. And that hot, blazing patch of ground in your yard that scorches everything you plant there? That's not your problem spot anymore. For the 8 annuals on this list, that spot is prime real estate. These flowers don't just tolerate full sun, they demand it, and they reward you with color that keeps coming from late spring all the way to the first hard frost. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which of these 8 to plant, where to put them, and the one simple habit that keeps every single one of them blooming for months instead of weeks. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's fill that garden. My name is James Scott, and here at Golden Age Gardening, my goal is simple. I want you to get more flowers, more vegetables, and more joy out of your garden with less frustration. If that sounds like your kind of gardening, take a second and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. It's free, it helps the channel more than you know, and it means we get to keep doing this together every week. Now, let's talk about why annuals deserve a place in your beds, even if you consider yourself a perennial person. An annual lives its entire life in one season. It sprouts, it grows, it flowers, it sets seed, and it's done. That sounds like a drawback, but here's the flip side. Because an annual only gets one shot, it pours absolutely everything into blooming. While your perennials are politely offering you 3 or 4 weeks of flowers, a good annual is throwing a party that lasts 4 or 5 months. They're the workhorses of the summer garden, and the 8 I've chosen for this video share 3 things in common. They grow fast, they love full sun, which means 6 or more hours of direct light a day, and every one of them is easy enough for a first-year gardener, while still being rewarding enough for someone who's been at this for decades, like me. Before we get to the list, let me save you some repetition and cover the care basics that apply to nearly everything you'll see in this video, because these plants have more in common than you'd think. First, drainage. Almost every sun-loving annual wants well-draining soil. If your soil is heavy clay that holds puddles after a rain, work in a few inches of compost before planting, or consider raised beds and containers. Soggy roots kill more annuals than drought ever will. Second, watering. The golden rule is deep and infrequent. Water thoroughly at the base of the plant, then let the top inch of soil dry out before you water again. Shallow daily sprinkles create shallow, weak roots. Deep soakings create tough plants that shrug off a heat wave. Third, and this is the habit I mentioned in the opening, deadheading. When a flower fades, pinch it off. Every one of these plants is racing to produce seed, and once it succeeds, it eases off on blooming. Remove the spent flowers, and the plant says, well, I'd better try again, and pushes out a fresh flush. 5 minutes of deadheading with your morning coffee is the single best retention trick in gardening. Keep that in mind as we go, because it applies to nearly every plant on this list. Alright, trowels ready. Let's meet the flowers. Annual number 1, Larkspur. We're starting with height, because every good flower bed needs a backdrop. Larkspur, botanically Consolida ajacis, sends up elegant vertical spikes that can reach anywhere from 1 to 4 feet tall, densely packed with blooms in blue, purple, pink, red, and white. If you've ever admired an English cottage garden and wondered what gives it that romantic, old-world feeling, Larkspur is very often the answer. Because of that height, placement matters. Plant Larkspur at the back of a border, behind mounding plants like marigolds or petunias, and you instantly create layers, which is the secret to a garden that looks designed rather than planted. That height comes with one caution though, wind. A tall spike loaded with blooms acts like a sail in a storm, so tuck your Larkspur near a fence, a wall, or a hedge that offers some shelter, or be prepared to stake the tallest stems. Larkspur wants a full day of sun and moist but well-draining soil, ideally with a pH somewhere between 6.0 and 7.5, which covers most average garden soil. Here's an insider tip. Larkspur actually prefers cool starts. Sow the seed directly in the garden in early spring, or even in fall in milder climates, and it will germinate when conditions suit it, and then rocket upward as the days warm. One more reason to love it, pollinators. Butterflies and hummingbirds treat Larkspur spikes like a buffet line. If you want your garden humming with life, this is a wonderful place to begin. Annual number 2, Cosmos. From structured spikes, we move to something looser and more carefree. Cosmos, or Cosmos bipinnatus, might be the easiest flower on this entire list, and I don't say that lightly. These are the daisy-like blooms in pink, white, and magenta floating above feathery, ferny foliage, and they grow at a pace that almost seems unreasonable. A standard cosmos can hit 3 to 6 feet in a single season. If that's more height than you want, look for dwarf varieties like Ladybird Dwarf, which stay a tidy 12 to 24 inches. Now here's the part that trips people up, so listen closely. Cosmos thrive on neglect. Rich soil and generous fertilizer will give you a huge, lush green plant with barely a flower on it. Lean, sandy, even slightly poor soil is exactly what cosmos want. Skip the fertilizer entirely, go easy on the water once they're established, and they will bloom themselves silly. It's one of the few plants where doing less truly gets you more. Space your plants 12 to 18 inches apart, and if you're growing the tall types, a few stakes or a ring of twine will keep them upright through summer storms. Deadhead regularly, and the blooms keep coming until frost. And here's a little bonus: Cosmos self-seed. Let a few flowers go to seed at the end of the season, and next spring you may find volunteer seedlings popping up, free of charge. A flower that plants itself for next year? That's my kind of return on investment. Annual number 3, Summer Snapdragon. If you've grown traditional snapdragons, you know their frustrating secret. They sulk and quit flowering when the real summer heat arrives. That's where our next plant comes in. Angelonia angustifolia, commonly called summer snapdragon, gives you those same charming upright spires of bloom, but this one actually loves the heat. The hotter it gets, the happier Angelonia seems to be. The color range is lovely: deep violet blue, rich purple, soft pink, rose, and clean white, on tidy plants that slot beautifully into the middle of a border or into containers. It tolerates a bit of partial shade, but I'll be honest with you, the difference between Angelonia in part shade and Angelonia in full sun is night and day. Give it every hour of sunshine you can, and it will repay you with far more flowers. Beyond the heat tolerance, this plant brings 2 more gifts. It handles drought better than almost any annual this pretty has a right to, making it a great choice if you travel in summer or simply forget to water sometimes. No judgment, we've all been there. And it's deer resistant, which for many of you watching is worth its weight in gold. Bumblebees and hummingbirds adore it. Deer walk on by, and it blooms steadily deep into fall, long after old-fashioned snapdragons have thrown in the towel. If this list is already giving you ideas, do me a favor and tap that like button. It genuinely helps other gardeners find this video, and it tells me you want more content just like this. Annual number 4, Zinnia. If I could only recommend one annual to a brand new gardener, this would be it. Zinnia elegans is the flower that makes people fall in love with gardening, and speed is a big part of the reason. So Zinnia seed directly into warm soil, and you'll see blooms in roughly 6 to 8 weeks. From there, the show runs without pause until the first hard frost knocks them down. The key word is warm. Zinnias are heat lovers through and through, so resist the urge to plant early. Wait until all danger of frost has passed and the soil has warmed up. Seeds planted into cold ground will just sit and sulk, while seeds planted 2 weeks later into warm soil will leap up and overtake them. Full sun and warmth are the accelerator pedals here. Zinnias are also wonderfully forgiving about soil, happy anywhere from acidic to mildly alkaline, as long as the drainage is decent. Where they earn their keep is as team players. Try them alongside low-growing vinca at their feet, or next to the bold blues of salvia. Better yet, plant them near spring snapdragons. As the snapdragons fade in the heat, the zinnias rise to take their place, and the bed never misses a beat. That kind of succession planning is how experienced gardeners keep color going all season. One quick pro tip: when you cut zinnias for a vase, cut deep, right above a set of leaves. The plant responds by branching, and every branch means more flowers. The more you cut, the more you get. Annual number 5, Pentas. Our next flower is for those of you gardening where summer doesn't play around. If your July feels like the inside of an oven, with heat, humidity, and long dry spells, meet Pentas lanceolata, sometimes called the Egyptian star cluster or simply star flower. Look closely at the blooms and you'll see why. Each cluster is made up of dozens of tiny, perfect 5-pointed stars in pink, red, lavender, purple, or white. Pentas are built for punishment. Heat doesn't faze them. Humidity doesn't faze them. Even drought, once they're established, barely slows them down. They bloom continuously from early summer through fall, and they're one of the finest pollinator magnets you can plant. Butterflies in particular seem incapable of flying past a pentas in bloom, and hummingbirds work the flower clusters all day long. Here's a bit of botanical fine print worth knowing. Pentas is technically a tender perennial. In USDA zones 10 and 11, it lives for years. In zone 9 and anywhere cooler, we grow it as an annual, because a freeze will end it. Don't let that discourage you. A single season of pentas is worth every penny. It will tolerate some shade, but the plant tends to stretch and get leggy without full light, and the flowering suffers. Give it sun, give it moist but well-drained soil on the slightly acidic side, and then largely leave it alone. For gardeners in the south especially, pentas isn't just a good choice, it's one of the best summer annuals there is. Annual number 6, Marigold. Some flowers are so familiar we forget how remarkable they are, and the marigold is the perfect example. Tagetes species are often dismissed as old-fashioned, but let me make the case for why your grandmother was right all along. Start with speed, since that's our theme. Marigold seeds germinate in under a week, often in just 4 or 5 days, and you can have blooms in as little as 8 weeks. Want an even bigger head start? Sow seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before your last expected frost. Then transplant sturdy young plants out once the weather settles. You'll have color weeks ahead of your neighbors. Then consider what marigolds do beyond looking cheerful. Their scent is famously effective at deterring garden pests. They have a well-earned reputation for repelling aphids and whiteflies, which is why generations of vegetable gardeners have edged their tomato beds with a ring of gold and orange. A flower that's beautiful and pulls guard duty at the same time? Sign me up. Care could not be simpler. Full sun, ordinary well-draining soil, and a watering schedule that lets the soil dry out between drinks, roughly once a week in most conditions. Deadhead the spent blooms, those papery faded flower heads, and the plant responds by getting bushier and pushing out even more buds. And at season's end, you can crumble those dried heads and save the seeds inside for next year. One packet of marigolds can honestly last you a lifetime. Annual number 7, Petunia. We're in the home stretch, and it's time to talk about coverage, because sometimes the job isn't height or novelty, it's simply filling space with color, fast. Nothing on this list does that quite like the petunia. Petunia hybrida matures in about 6 weeks, and a single plant can sprawl 3 to 4 feet across, smothering itself in trumpet-shaped blooms, in nearly every color you can imagine. Think about what that means practically. A new flower bed that would take a dozen small plants to fill might need only 3 or 4 petunias. A hanging basket becomes a waterfall of color, a bare slope becomes a carpet, and that show runs from late spring until frost. If you're lucky enough to garden in zones 10 or 11, petunias can even carry on as perennials right through the year, though for the rest of us, one glorious season is the deal. The formula for success is straightforward. Full sun, first and always. Petunias in shade get stretchy and stingy with their flowers. Give them moist, well-drained soil, slightly acidic to neutral, and keep up with deadheading. With older varieties especially, removing the sticky spent blooms makes an enormous difference in how long the plant keeps flowering. If your petunias look tired by midsummer, don't be shy. Cut them back by about a third. Water them well, and within 2 weeks, they'll bounce back fuller than before. It feels drastic the first time, but trust me, it works. Before our final flower, if you've grown any of these annuals yourself, I'd love to hear how they performed in your garden. Drop your experience in the comments below. This community learns as much from each other as from me. Annual number 8, Million Bells. We finish with a flower that looks like a petunia went out and got itself a miniature, more refined cousin. Calibrachoa teleobrita, better known as Million Bells, produces hundreds upon hundreds of small, funnel-shaped blooms, and the name is barely an exaggeration. A mature plant in full flower is so covered in bells you can hardly find the foliage underneath. The color range is astonishing. Blue, purple, burgundy, orange, pink, yellow, white, plus modern varieties with stripes, stars, and double blooms. Like pentas, Million Bells are technically tender perennials that nearly all of us grow as annuals, blooming without a break from early summer to frost. Where Calibrachoa truly shines is versatility. Trailing stems make it a superstar in hanging baskets and window boxes, spilling over the edges in sheets of color. Planted in the ground, it works as an edging plant along borders, or even as a fast, flowering ground cover to fill sparse spots in a bed. Hummingbirds, bees, and butterflies visit constantly. Its one particular demand is soil chemistry. Million Bells prefer acidic conditions, with a pH between roughly 5.0 and 6.5. In containers with a quality peat-based potting mix, that happens naturally. In alkaline garden soil, you may see the leaves turn yellow between the veins, a sign of iron hunger. If that happens, a dose of fertilizer formulated for acid-loving plants sets things right quickly. And here's a happy bonus. Calibrachoa is self-cleaning, meaning spent blooms drop on their own. For once, no deadheading required. So there you have it, 8 fast-growing annuals, one shared love of sunshine, and endless ways to combine them. Larkspur at the back for height, zinnias and pentas holding the middle, marigolds standing guard near the vegetables, cosmos filling the gaps, angelonia laughing at the heat, and petunias and million bells spilling over every edge and basket. Plant even 3 or 4 of these. Keep up with that 5-minute deadheading habit, and I promise your garden will carry color from the last frost of spring to the first frost of fall. If this video helped you plan your beds, share it with a gardening friend who has a sunny spot begging for flowers, and make sure you're subscribed with the bell turned on, because there's plenty more coming here on Golden Age Gardening. Until then, get those hands in the soil, enjoy every bloom, and happy gardening, my friends.